Buenos dias, amigos y amigas. Today we are going to launch into La Gramática, our favorite thing, grammar. We're on pages 10 first on the V-text, and then actually we're on 11. We're going to go back to 10 here, starting in our very basic learning of Spanish grammar. And I am sure that some of you need a refresher on what nouns and articles are. Let's look first here at what nouns are. Nouns in English and in Spanish identify people, places, animals, and things. All Spanish nouns have gender, sex, meaning masculine or feminine, and number. Either there's one or there are more of them. Let's give some examples of people, places, animals, and things in English. Let's see, Mr. Caldwell would be a person. A place, Helena. An animal, a dog. A thing, a table. Now, in English, it's just a or the. I don't hear anything about sex, masculine or feminine in English. But all Spanish nouns have gender, masculine and feminine, and they have number, as in English, singular or plural. There's only, well, maybe one Mr. Caldwell here, probably other Mr. Caldwells other places. There are many places, of course, on the planet, different types of animals, and many, many things. So, the majority of the time, nouns referring to males, this is in Spanish, are masculine, and nouns referring to females are feminine. Let's take a look at this. Bring my little highlighter down here. So we're looking at masculine, things that are naturally masculine. And let's look at the man, el hombre. And if you would repeat after me, that would be great. That would facilitate your learning. El hombre, the man. El chico, the boy. Usually a young boy up to adolescent. El pasajero. El pasajero. He's a male passenger. Okay. La mujer. Now we're looking at some feminine, logically feminine nouns. La mujer, and the J, remember, is pronounced in your throat as though you've got some phlegm to cough up. La chica. Again, it's just the opposite of el chico. It's la chica. So we're seeing a pattern starting to form here. La pasajera. La pasajera, the female passenger. And so what we're noticing here is el for masculine, la for feminine, el for masculine, la for feminine. Let's look over here. Here's some other masculine people. El conductor. El conductor. And what kind of word is this? You've got it. It's a cognate. And it's a real cognate. It's spelled exactly like English and sounds very close to English. El profesor. El profesor. Notice another cognate and masculine because it's el. So it's a masculine driver and a masculine teacher or professor. Something feminine would be la conductora. So if it ends in an R and we want to make it a woman, we add an A. La conductora, the female conductor. La profesora, como yo, Juliana. La profesora Juliana. Okay, so we have masculine and we have feminine. We've just seen that. Let's look at some rules. Most nouns, highlighter again here, Most nouns ending in O, let's look at that first, are masculine. Okay, let's look at some. Here is a list. And I suggest this is a great time to use your tutorial tab on your student site to make some flashcards, or to make flashcards on index cards written out that you can carry with you in your car while you're waiting for the train, or when you have a few minutes just to sit and look at words. El cuaderno. El cuaderno. It's masculine because it's el and it ends in an O. Now, why is a notebook masculine? Good question. You learn about gender in advanced linguistics when you study a language. And for our purposes, we're just going to have to take it on faith that these words are meant to be masculine. Basically, the idea is that they have come down from mostly Latin and some from Greek. And all of Latin and Greek, of course, had gender and were devised with these names and words of things and people in masculine and feminine. And they've come into Spanish in that form. So we kind of just go with it. El diario, el diary, or the diary. El diccionario, el diccionario, the dictionary. El número, and you'll see the little accent there that makes us stress that syllable. El número. El video, absolute cognate there. And remember, the V is pronounced like a B, video. So those are ending in O, so they're masculine. Also up here it says words ending in M-A are masculine. El problema. And we have a little tendency to look at that A and think, oh, it's feminine. But it ends in M-A, so it's masculino. El problema. And again, M-A. El programa, the program. Also up here, the rule says that nouns ending in S are masculine. Here are two. El autobús. Or you can just say el bus. El autobús or el bus. And of course, there's our little accent mark to make us stress the bus. El país. And there's the accent mark to make us say el país, the country. For example, el país de los Estados Unidos. Can you guess what that is? El país de los Estados Unidos. United States. Estados Unidos. Again, two cognates. Now let's look at rules for feminine things. Most nouns ending in A are feminine, as we saw up above here. Let's look at some things that are feminine. And we just have to either memorize it or think maybe logically, why would it be feminine? La cosa, the thing. La cosa. La escuela. La escuela. And the escuela is usually a kindergarten to grade 12 school. And this is something that remains in the language, but it's getting to be pretty archaic for us. La grabadora. La grabadora. It grabs the tape, but we actually hardly use tape recorders any longer. But it's still a word that's a good one to know in the language. La maleta. La maleta, which you are going to need when you go traveling in a Spanish-speaking country. Maybe dos maletas, maybe two suitcases. La mochila. La mochila. It's not a furry little animal. It's a backpack. Now, why is a backpack feminine? Again, we just have to take that it is because it ends in an A. La palabra. La palabra, the word. Now, we'll see another rule. Words that end in C-I-O-N are feminine. La lección. La lección. Okay, here's another one. And of course, this is a cognate. And here's another great cognate. La conversación. Let's try that. La conversación. And again, the accent on the O's makes us pronounce it back at the back. Ooh, these are wonderful to pronounce. The D-A-D words. All words that end in D-A-D are feminine. Here we go. La nacionalidad. La nacionalidad. And if you want to make a sentence, let's try one. Mi nacionalidad es norteamericana. Mi nacionalidad es norteamericana. That's what I would say as Juliana, because I am feminina. But what if I'm masculino, if I'm a man? I would say, mi nacionalidad es norteamericano, with an O, masculino. Mi nacionalidad es norteamericano. Now we come down to the community, another cognate, la comunidad. La comunidad. And you know, we learned a word in our little story, una historia, which is also a D-A-D word, which is referring to Helena. Elena es una ciudad. It's a city. Or la ciudad de Elena es bonita, ¿verdad? La ciudad de Elena es bonita, ¿verdad? Remember from La Historia? Let's continue down here on page 10. Some nouns have identical masculine and feminine forms. And we're going to learn about articles here. El or la indicates the gender of these words. So we're looking at now what really el and la mean. El is the tourist. And we'll see here that it can be either a masculine or a feminine tourist, but it's the same word, turista. El turista, the tourist. La turista, the tourist. And these refer to either, as I said, masculine or feminine. El joven, the young man. El joven, the young man. La joven. La joven, the young woman. El estudiante. El estudiante, the student, a male student. La estudiante. La estudiante. And there are quite a few words like this in Spanish, but they're fairly easy to remember once we learn them. There are not a whole lot of them. The majority of nouns end in O and are masculine, and the majority that are feminine end in A. Now, what is an article? It means the. So we're talking about a specific tourist. The tourist over there. The young man. The young woman. Now, let's look at some plurals of nouns. Nouns that end in a vowel form the plural by adding s. That's easy. Let's look. El chico, the young boy. If there are several of them, or more than one, two of them, los chicos. Now let's look at a feminine word. La palabra, the word. Las palabras, las palabras, the words. Now this rule we have to sort of memorize and remember. Nouns that end in a Z, change the Z to C and add es. Let's look down here at lápiz. El lápiz. And we see that there's a little accent there that makes us say el lápiz. So we change the Z to a C and add es. Okay? And the same rule is applied to words that end in an S. El país, the country. Los países. Los países. Let me give you an example of a sentence and see if you can see what this says, what I'm saying here. Los países de Perú y Ecuador son bonitos. Los países de Perú y Ecuador son bonitos. The countries of Peru and Ecuador are pretty. And notice I'm saying bonitos. They're masculine. Los países. Okay. Now, here is where the Spanish language is really still very much a paternalistic, masculine language coming directly from Latin and Greek, which was machismo, we would probably say these days. And here's the rule. The masculine plural form may refer to a mixed gender group. What that really means is that if you have on the bus or in a car, un pasajero, one masculine man, y dos pasajeras, two feminine passengers, two women, together, there are three of them, but they're tres pasajeros. So if you have just one male and a whole group of women, it's still going to be defaulting to the masculine. Pasajeros. Okay? For example, let's use chico and chicas. If we have dos chicos, two boys, y cinco chicas, we're going to have 7 altogether, and we're going to have siete chicos, okay, in spite of the fact that women are included. Okay, we're going to go to page 11. I thought it was a little easier for us to take the pages separately because it makes the writing a lot larger for us to read. And grab the highlighter here. Now, we're going to look at this little chart here on page 11, and it's a great one if you want to put a little sticky on this page to come back to it. It's a great summation or summary of what articles are. We've learned what nouns are, that they are people, places, and things, and we've learned about what we call definite articles. The. That's what they mean in Spanish, or in English and in Spanish. The dictionary, el diccionario, and then if it's more than one, in masculine, los. The. Los diccionarios. So that's definite. They're talking about specific dictionaries. The dictionaries. They're on the table. On the feminine side, la is the computadora. That's a cognate that, of course, Spanish has really taken from English. The computer. La computadora. And if we have several computers or laptops in a room, we have las computadoras. Las computadoras. So the definite articles in English and in Spanish mean the. So we have el, la, los, and las. Now, let's look at what we haven't seen yet, indefinite articles. Now, you might want to make a note of this if you're taking notes. An indefinite article in English means a rather than the. So here we're just saying a passenger, not any specific passenger. So it's less definite, it's indefinite. It's just a passenger. Un pasajero. A passenger on a bus. Un pasajero en el autobús. Now, if we're talking about a photograph, una fotografía, or you can always shorten fotografía to photo, as we do in English. We say photos. So you can just say photo. Una foto. Okay, a photo. You're not saying a specific one. Now, what is the plural of a in English? Think. Some. Unos pasajeros mean some passengers. We're not saying any specific passengers, just some passengers on the bus are American. Unos pasajeros en el autobús son norteamericanos. Unos pasajeros en el autobús son norteamericanos. Let's look at some photos. We're not naming any specific photos, just some. Unas fotos son muy bonitas. Some pictures are really pretty. Maybe pictures of the mountains. Unas fotos son muy bonitas. So here we have the indefinite articles. Un for masculino. Una for femenina. Unos for some in the masculino. And unas for more than one in the femenina. So this little chart here sums up what we've been talking about. The masculine and the feminine, and using o and a for endings, and then the articles, definite and indefinite. So we have el, la, los, las, un, una, unos y unas. Y yo creo que es bastante para hoy, ¿verdad? Is that enough for today? Yo creo que sí. I think so. Hasta la próxima. See you next time.